This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and colder, it can really take a toll on how we feel. Maybe that means calling your grandma, writing a letter to your friend, finally grabbing lunch with someone you haven't seen in a while. And just like reaching out to a friend, starting therapy can take a bit of courage. BetterHelp makes it easy to start therapy. You'll be matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your growth and goals. Not happy with your match? You can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether that's checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Oregon barely squeaking out over Iowa, 18-16, the final score in that game. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the victorious Oregon Ducks. Highest graded player was the true freshman corner, Brandon Finney Jr. I'll get to him later on in the show. 83.1 grade. Offensive guard, Emmanuel Pregnon, 82.2. Offensive tackle, Isaiah World, 73. Another offensive lineman here in the star center, Yapani Lalulu, 71.2. Running back Noah Whittington, 70.6. And Dante Moore with a very solid 75.2 grade. An amazing throw at the very end of the game to put Oregon in field goal range. For Iowa, their highest grade players in the loss, offensive guard Bo Stevens, 90.8 grade. Tight end Hayden Large, 82.6. Another tight end here in DJ Vonami, 82.2. Logan Jones with an 80, the center. Offensive tackle Trevor Lauk, 77.7. And quarterback Mark Gronowski, 69.3. Dalton, what was the stat that told the story in this game?
Tell you, we talked so much, over the years of doing this show now about Oregon and their offense, right? And it's all about Will Stein and Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore, quarterbacks, wide receivers, pass protection, all the flashy stuff. But at the end of the day, Max, don't forget that Dan Lanning is a defensive coach coming from the SEC. That is his bread and butter. And in this game, they had to win it with their defense at Iowa. It turned into a true Iowa football game. It's shown in the final score. It was shown with the weather and some of the mistakes along the way and just the ugly offensive football that we saw. But I think the stat that Dan Lanning would be most proud of, how about only 4 missed tackles the entire game for the Oregon Ducks? And they're one of the best tackling teams in the country. They've been that all year. They only have one game this season, the double overtime win over Penn State, where they missed more than 10 tackles. Only one explosive run allowed, obviously huge against an Iowa team. And look, you saw it with 3 of their 5 offensive linemen in the top 5 of the highest graded there. Iowa really still blocked well up front, as they do every week. This is by far the best offensive line in the country. They should win the Joe Moore Award by a mile. And yet Oregon, at the second level of their defense, swarmed to the football, tackled well, prevented those forced missed tackles and yards after contact that can really hurt you against Iowa. It wasn't always pretty, but they got the job done. They also only allowed 2 passes longer than 17 yards. Those were the 2 drives that resulted in Iowa touchdowns. But when you prevent those explosive plays at that rate, especially on the ground against this Iowa team, you're in for a lot of success on defense. That's exactly what happened. They certainly wavered at the end with the final drive. The Hawkeyes put together an awesome drive. What was it, 96 yards, I believe it was, starting inside their own 5-yard line. But they came back. Dante Moore made the one throw they needed to. But this really, to me, was about Oregon embracing this style of ball that they were getting, going into Iowa in the pouring rain and playing just as physical as the Hawkeyes did.
Yeah, I remember when, the Big Ten added the 4 new teams in Oregon, USC, Washington, UCLA. They were like, everyone was saying, well, they're not going to be able to compete physically in the Big Ten. I was like, have you seen Oregon lately, man? What they've done in the Pac-12 and what they're doing now in the Big Ten, too? They could absolutely compete physically in the Big Ten. Really, my stat is the rushing difference in this game, because I went into the preview saying, okay, the winner of this game will be who runs the football better, especially when it's pouring rain in Iowa as well. And Oregon won this battle by a wide margin. Oregon averaged 7.3 yards per carry in this game. Iowa entered the week 3rd in the country in yards per carry allowed at about 3.3 this year. Oregon averaged 7.3 against the Hawkeyes. Iowa, meanwhile, only 3.5 yards per carry, even though they have the best offensive line in college football right now. Oregon averaged 2.9 yards before contact per carry. Iowa only averaged 0.8. Oregon, 4.4 yards after contact per carry. Iowa, only 2.7. 7 runs of 10 or more yards for Oregon, only one of them for the Hawkeyes. Again, in the pouring rain, Oregon's elite run game that has been the most efficient run game in college football this year in terms of EPA per play ran all over a fantastic Iowa run defense. And meanwhile, Iowa's elite offensive line could not generate enough push against an Oregon defense that really stacked the box on them.
I mean, that's really the key number there. In a game like this, as physical as you have to play against this Iowa team, 7.3 yards per carry for Oregon. You look at Noah Whittington with a great game. D'Air Hill with a touchdown. Jordan Davison was really good. Dante Moore even with a 49-yard run on a read option keep there. I think that's the idea, is that Dan Lanning and Will Stein, they knew what type of game they were in for. With this opponent, in this weather, in this stadium, this is just what Iowa games turn into. Again, on both sides of the ball, Oregon fully embraced that, and they just found a way to win. And honestly, when you're coming out of Iowa, that's just what you want to do, is just find a way to win a game, find a way to win this game, because Iowa's one of the most unique teams to play against, and they're going to give you everything they have every single time.
So Iowa entered the week, Dalton, with the highest run blocking grade in the country. Oregon entered the week with the highest pass blocking grade in the country, and I would say both offensive lines did pretty well in this one.
They sure did. You look at Oregon's offensive line with a 75 overall grade, and of course they showcased the pass protection. You know, Dante Moore, we'll check it on review again, but the first time through, and I watched it through as well, all his dropbacks, he was not pressured a single time in this game. Not once. I mean, Oregon's pass, they're the best pass blocking team in the country. Iowa's second right behind him in that category as well. Iowa with a 92.6 pass blocking grade of their own. Oregon with a 94. I think just a credit, even though it was a low scoring game, you might not think too many guys graded highly, but these two offensive lines were outstanding, and that's with Oregon missing the right tackle Alex Harkey due to injury in this game, and of course Logan Jones and those guys on that Iowa front. I mean, they're just outstanding too. So just a credit. It was really fun. If you like offensive line play, go back and watch this game, because these are two of the best in the business.
Absolutely. I want to shout out on the Oregon defensive side, their true freshman corner, Brandon Finney Jr., the highest graded player for Oregon in this game. He was a star for the Ducks in this one. He had a forced fumble on a huge hit in this one, only allowed 14 yards on 18 coverage snaps with 2 coverage stops as well, an 82.2 coverage grade. He has been a star corner for Oregon all year. 84.3 coverage grade is the best among all true freshman corners right now in college football. He's a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, and he's played like a 5-star basically the way he's looked this year.
Absolutely. I thought the forced fumble on Caden Weechin, that was such a huge play with Iowa driving inside into Oregon's red zone there. I mean, just such a big play in run defense there that really flipped things around when it looked like Iowa had a lot of momentum going. So, look, you've been looking for guys. They've replaced a lot of veterans from last year's secondary on this Oregon defense, and Tosh Lapoy did a great job of just getting these young guys together, but Finney was outstanding in this game. To get that kind of game on the road in this matchup from a true freshman, just outstanding stuff.
Absolutely. Oregon getting a huge win over Iowa and moving on to continue to be one of the top contenders to make the playoff right now. Iowa, meanwhile, is unfortunately probably a death sentence for their playoff hopes, up from their 3rd loss of the year to Oregon. Still some big games for Iowa coming up very soon that we'll, of course, preview as well. So Oregon, massive win over Iowa. Obviously, Dalton, a lot of Iowa fans are not very happy right now. And we got a Maryland fan in the chat, D. Souter 324, that's just going through it right now.
That's tough. Both of those. It was a tough day for both.
Listen, as a Penn State fan, I'm with you.
When you lose a lot of those close games like this, like Maryland has had recently, like Penn State had yesterday, we're going to get into. You lose a lot of those close games repeatedly, it can be really, really frustrating. I get it. You get to this time of year where it's just like, man, certain teams, you list them off and you just go, man, they can't catch a break. I get it.
Listen, use our chat as like a therapy session. We're here for you. All right, we're here for you. I'm a Penn State fan. All right, I've been through a lot this year. I'm here for you.
Listen, I'm a Jets fan.
Dalton's a Jets fan.
I get it. I absolutely.
Have you checked out Stock Exchange, their episode this week? Fix Your Franchise for the Jets.
I got to go in and watch it, but I'm sure with the
they did a good job
with it. I'm sure they did. Well, Connor knows them better than anybody.
He went on Trevor just let him cook in that entire episode.
As he should.
Like, listen, Connor, you just have the floor. Just go on whatever. I'm sure dissertation on the Jets.
I'm sure he would expect it the other way too if it was the Bucks, but the Bucks don't need fixing.
By the way, NFL Stock Exchange, a podcast here at PFF, the best draft podcast there is on the planet. They do a series called Fix Your Franchise for any NFL franchise that's struggling. I believe they've done it for 4 years, and I believe they've done the Jets every single one of them.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's like they gave them the blueprint to fix them, and then they don't do it, and it's like, all right, well, next year, here's the blueprint again. They don't do it.
Just, it's just the blueprint keeps changing, and, maybe they'll figure it out eventually. We'll see.
Maybe. All right.